I live in a harbor city on the north of the Croatian coast. This is one of the rare cities in Croatia that is more open towards LGBT. I was born in Germany, actually, and I'm half German. My mom is German and my dad was Croatian, or at that time, Yugoslavian. I'm gay and identify as male, he, him. I grew up in a church as a gay man and had a pretty troubled or hard time growing up, and also kind of accepting myself. When I was growing up, everyone was telling me, "Oh, yeah, you should have been a girl. You should have been born a girl." I liked girl toys rather than boy toys. I realized that I really like boys around 11, 12, when the realization kind of came to me. Okay, like I'm attracted to boys. I actually didn't come out till I was 21 to anyone. Before that, I was so scared that anyone would find out. I was about 15 or 16, and we were at the church at a youth meeting, and we had someone who was talking to us about sexuality. Well, he was mostly talking about sex. He didn't talk about different sexualities. But at the end, I somehow managed to get some courage to take courage and ask the question, what would you do if someone would come through the door and say, "Hey, hello, I'm gay"? He actually answered to this question, at least that's how I remember it, is that he, without thinking, he just said, I would tell him, "Go away from me, Satan." This was the second thing that happened to me where I said, okay, whatever you do, you can't tell anyone, ever. I was very scared about how I was coming across, and it was always somewhere on my mind. At least, you know, even if I would talk to my friends, you know, at some point, if I did, oh, never mind, I was like, oh, was this too gay? You know, like there was always this moment where this thought came up. If there was a topic on LGBT, I would mostly be very quiet. I wouldn't engage, that I don't say anything that someone might think that I'm gay or something. And then at night, it was a lot of crying and praying the gay away. So it was a lot of doing reparative therapy to myself. And yeah, sometimes it got really nasty because I also got a lot into self-harming, not really cutting myself or any visible harm, but I would be hitting myself, hitting my head against the wall. Also trying to hurt myself with the worst words that I could think of myself to kind of put myself down. During my teenage years, I was probably the most active churchgoer there is in the world.
Okay. Yeah, just to suppress it.
Yeah. I think it was a compensation, you know, compensating for, because I thought I'm so bad. I have to be the best person that I can be, the best Christian that I can be.
And it's almost like self-atonement theory, isn't it? I will atone for my queerness by being very pious and 24/7 involved in church. Yeah,
exactly. The thing is, I actually went into a process of just disintegrating my faith. And yeah, I am at the point where I don't really identify as a person of faith. It is a realm that is very known to me, and I feel comfortable with. I don't have a problem, or I don't judge people who are people of faith. I'm more agnostic at this point. It was a process where I also kind of felt a lot really left alone by God. And as some say, I put out a few fleeces, like Gideon. But yeah, nothing came. So I realized, okay, even if there is a God at this point, it's maybe nothing important. Or if there is a God, he just doesn't get involved in my life or whatever. So I came to the point where I got really tired running after God, because that's how I felt. And I came to the point where I said, okay, God, if you exist and if I'm important to you, now it's your turn. So search for me. For now, I don't really believe that you exist. I don't say that you do, that you don't. The funny thing is, although I don't identify as a Christian, I actually am part of a church, and it's a really small Lutheran church. That, I was involved in actually starting here in our city, where people are just welcome as they are. If they're LGBT, if they're divorced, if they're, even atheist and just want to come and stay here.
Just come and sit. You don't have to sing. You don't have to sing anything. You don't have to say anything. Just come and sit and have a roof over your head and comfort of human beings around you. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. I'm working for this organization, Intero Center, and actually this podcast is part of my work, what I'm doing. I am trained as a religious teacher, but then I took a lot of trainings in becoming a trainer of nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg and a mediator. As I came out several years ago, it became more obvious that I also want to do something that is connected to the whole topic of LGBT. And when I came to this point where I accepted myself and came out as gay, one thing that I realized is how much I wish that there was someone or an organization or something that I could turn to. And also as someone who got married to a woman, because of all that, it was very important for me and for my colleague and friend, to offer something to LGBT people of faith, so they can turn to someone and maybe also hear a different message about that it's possible being LGBT and an LGBT person of faith. Podcasting, I was actually going through when I came out, and even before I came out, for many years, I was going through a phase of kind of questioning my faith. During that time, I came across a podcast that actually helped me so much, and I really fell in love with podcasts. And it was something, while I was listening, I was always saying, I wish I could do some podcasting in Croatia. It came payback time, and I was just I came to a place where I was really struggling with depression and anxiety. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't imagine working with people, doing groups. I stopped doing nonviolent communication trainings. And it started happening. And first, I wanted to do it in Croatian. And I started to do it in Croatian. So I did about 8 episodes in Croatian. And I got all this feedback from some of the people who donated and said, I wish this was in English. I would love to understand it. I would like to listen to it. And since it became harder and harder to find people in this region, in Croatia or even Serbia and Bosnia, where we understand each other, so I could have guests from there, but it's still such a sensitive topic that people are not really willing to do an interview. I actually thought, why not do a European podcast? I mean, if people say, I wish it was in English, and then I would have a possibility for more people, more guests, maybe even more diverse people. I love the moment when I realize, oh, the guest is now relaxed and we can talk more relaxed. But I realize, with the experience I have now, I mean, it's not like so many years, but it's still some experience. I realize it really depends also, it's partially me, depends how relaxed I can go into the conversation. But I really enjoy when people, one thing I love is the guests who are really open and willing to be vulnerable. Name Priceless, because it has two meanings. One is that you can't put a price tag on a human's life. And this was very important. But in Croatian, priceless also means you can't judge.